Happy Monday, gamers. We are back with some more modern action. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching, everybody. I'm, of course, NanMans, and we've got some more modern action. We did have our special unboxing video. If you guys missed it, we'll put a link up in the description and right here on the screen for you if you want to watch us unbox a Modern Masters 2017 stuff, and we just sort of talk about what the meta was like. But in today's video, since we do normally have content every Monday and Thursday, which is gameplay content with commentary, we've got a Dimir Mill versus Boros Energy here. Of course, there is a lot of high level, high skilled modern events taking place on the weekends all around the world. At least recently, there's a bunch with the regional stuff happening over the weekend, but the time of recording, the results are not in. But we're starting to see the meta really shape up, right? We had a special meta video recently, January, that kind of talked about like the top tier decks. Boros Energy, of course, is one of those. Temur Breach, or Breach in general, like the grinding station decks is up there in that like S tier and stuff like that. But Dimir Mill is kind of that middle of the road deck. It's popular, local hero, does well every so often online. It has some pretty decent cards that help it out, but it's a race matchup between these two decks of can I mill you fast enough before you aggro me down. It works a little bit better if you're fighting against maybe more of a grindier mid-range deck where you can kind of go a little bit faster before they're able to assemble too much threats. But in this case, you got to be careful. Crab already gets grabbed by our static prison there, so be able to grab it, and then Guide of Souls, the card that is so good. And I don't know, we've got a ban list coming up in March. Will Guide go? Is that what's going to happen? So we get a nice little trigger here. Izzet Pride, of course, gaining the life when a creature enters, bing, 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 and just keep generating more energy to make sure we keep that crab in check and over there, hidden in the corner, not allowed to play. And we get to do some, of course, fetch on the end step, get ourselves set up here. Oh, look at this. We get the foil cat. Switching it up. I like it. Now, this Dimir Mill is kind of a... It's got a couple of one-of, fun-ofs, because I like having classic cards from old school Mill in there. Yeah, they're not as good, as powerful of things, but still one of those fun things that I'm like, yeah, I like having the flex spots fill in for that. But there are some pretty decent stock lists of Mill that run around if you're ever curious about what they look like. But again, it's one of those local hero decks that has the potential to do well, but when it comes to a major tournament where you're like, I'm playing like 9 rounds and grinding, it's not going to be top tier in that regard. But it still has that explosive potential and ability to kind of get those wins. Where Boros Energy is, one of those best decks in Modern. A big part of it is from cards like Izzet Pride, Guide of Souls, where you can kind of go wide, build a bunch of tokens, and spread out. But you also have that potential to do a little bit of pure strategies and like make one creature real big. And here's a Dash Ragavan. And push in response to the Dash Ragavan, so we can at least shut down some of that energy generation and really get rid of that pierce or burst damage that it's going to try to generate from dumping that energy, right? Having an energy sink is really useful for this deck, finding a way to kind of take advantage of all that you've built up. But now we got to do a little bit of swing in. Let's get a treasure. Let's exile the top card, see what we get, if it's anything worthwhile. A Drown the Lock. That would have been nice to have drawn as a Dimir Mill player, because you could have popped and killed off the Izzet Pride there. It says, hey, cast something so I can counter it. Nope, not going to happen. So Ragavan goes back. And now we're looking for some answers. Looks like we have an Archive Trap in hand, hoping for another fetch to pop up here. Looks like Jace. We've got Mind Funeral. So Mind Funeral is one of those like closers that I have in the deck. I've run like a one-of in there as a way to, after you've done your like Tasha's Hideous Laughters and things like that, and those bigger mills, Fractured Sanities, things like that, you can run the Mind Funeral to try to close out the game. So it's in there as like a closer to help kind of wrap things up after you've milled a bunch, because you mill until you have your opponent mill 4 lands. So putting it early is not necessarily the best, but it's still one of those cards that, like, you know, mills a decent chunk, right? If you're milling at least at like 10 or above, you're feeling pretty good. So we do, yep, there's the Mind Funeral. So we are going that. There's also the Ensnaring Bridge, it looks like, in hand as well. So 4 lands. Let's see how many we get here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, 10 cards exactly here. 4 lands. We got, oh, I think there was a Flage that got milled in that, though. All right, paying that energy. The energy tracker's off the screen a little bit here. And yeah, we might look into zooming out a little bit more, too, so we can get a better view. I don't know, I like being close enough that, like, we can kind of still see what the cards are. I'm worried if we start zooming out too much, yeah, we'll get a better field of view. But will the cards just become a little bit less distinguishable? I mean, we are putting them all up on the screen too. Like Ragman here is popping up, so you know. But I'm just wondering. Let me know what you guys think. Should we try to zoom out more, or should we just be continuing with this kind of zoomed in for the time being? All right. Oh, that would have been a good hit. Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Not going to play it. Big surprise. Ragman bounces back. So we're at 9. Ugh, the Archive Trap's not really helping here. We have a Drown the Lock here, which I think is still... Bridge doesn't really help us because we have so many cards in our hand. Like, Bridge is good, but it doesn't really do what we want it to do here. So I like the Drown the Lock play over that, because you can just kill the Ocelot and maybe try to put a little stopper on what's happening. But hey, we're going to do some little flashing of the Philia, Exuberant Shepherd, a little Corgied adventure. So it's, of course, has flash. It's a 2/2. When it enters, nothing happens. But when it attacks, that's when stuff happens. Exile up to 1 target non-land permanent. So you could flicker your Static Prism here. You could flicker one of your creatures. If the thing that you're flickering is one of your own non-land permanents, you get to put a +1 counter on your doggo there. And there's a Dash Ragavan. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Dropping our mill player to 1. What's the top card? An island. All right, nothing we got to worry about. All right, untappies. Yeah, I don't think we have any outs here. Sunken Ruin. Make another cap. Yeah, I think I might have missed the life total here in this. Let me know. There's going to be mistakes, especially in the editing side of things. So let me know what you're catching, what you're seeing, what sort of mistakes players are making here. All right, what do we got? I guess it's like try to dump our hand, but even then, because there are a bunch of 1/1s and we're at 1 life, there's not much we could do here. Oh, I see the eyeballing of Jace. So we're debating about Jace. I don't, yeah, it's like, I guess, like, is one of those, like, you just want to play a card. Like, Jace is cool.
I have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so 7 there. I missed something last time.
Yeah, when you,
Yeah, I could have bounced
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, they're having the discussion about the doggo bouncing the Static Prism or flickering the Static Prism here to, like, help generate more energy. But, Alright, yeah, that is the Jace play. Okay, so Jace, Perfect Mind. So we could target something, make it weaker, target player mills 3, and then if there's 20, it's like Visions of Beyond. But we're going with the -X. We're going to get rid of all 5 of our loyalty to make our opponent mill 15 cards. Because you mill 3 times X, so X is the loyalty, so we'll just kind of 15. big chunk there that we can just like strip away. So fun to be able to activate Jace or play Jace if you have not played it. Just one of those things. It's like, hey, yeah, we'll get this back. Not that it really matters because, you know, I got, what, 3 cards left in hand and you're swinging with a bunch of 1/1s. So that's game 1 for the Boros Energy side of things here. So we get to jump into some sideboards, probably pull out some more removal spells, maybe other tools to kind of help us deal with the Boros Energy, where Boros Energy, I don't know what they're going to be, you know, they don't really have stuff that they're like, oh, I really need for this matchup. There might be 1 or 2 things that they go, yeah, I guess this is fine. But really, you could be fine with just your stock list and not have to worry about certain sideboard stuff. Because it's like your deck is already doing what it's designed to do. You're not trying to gain advantages or metagame against what your opponent is bringing in or try to fight against their strategy. Like, you're doing fine. All right, so now, of course, our mill player is going to be going first. No turn 1 crab this time around. I forgot to turn the volume down on this matchup, but that's okay. We'll try to talk over it. Hopefully the players, I've turned it down a little bit, but still. All right, Ocelot Pride coming out again for turn 1, dropping to 18. Lovely little cat here. First strike and lifelink. We dig it. We dig it. We like the Ocelot Pride. I mean, I think Ocelot Pride is perfectly fine with when it's not paired with Guide of Souls, right? Let's be honest. Guide of Souls is a problem. Guide of Souls is the biggest issue with the energy deck. I mean, I think it's important to have aggro decks in Modern. That's, you know, keep certain decks in check. But is Boros Energy still just the most efficient and the best set of cards? I mean, it is basically Modern Horizons deck. We know that there are other tools in there like the Raven Charm and, you know, Goblin Bombardments and things like that now, and Ragavans have been added back in. But for the most part, it really is just like, here's the best red and white cards in Modern Horizons 3 in a deck. All right, here, this is what we're talking about. The old school, just the kind of like one-ofs here and there. Just a 1, glimpse the unthinkable. Let's just mill 10. Hit some flages, though. I'm just checking how many soul guides did I hit. 2 soul guides and 2 flage. Ooh. So if we get up to that 4 mana, things can, you know, help close the game out for the Boros Energy player. Swing for 1. Let's do a Life Total Swamp. Bing, bing, bing. 16 and 19. Another kitty cat. Ooh, this will give us double tokens because we gain life this turn. So first Ocelot Pride will trigger. Second Ocelot Pride will trigger. So we get 2 1/1 cat tokens. Building up for that City's Blessing here. Or I guess Ascend. Is that what they called it? City's Blessing, Ascend. It's all the same. All right. Dropping down 3 for Fractured Sanity. Mill 14. So we've already milled 24 cards. It's a pretty good way to go. And that's why you always like the Mind Funeral after you start hitting these big ones becomes much more effective. Like, we're seeing how many lands are actually getting sent away now. So we get a fetch, Archive Trap, and a second one for 26. Okay, so here's how this works. We're seeing the sequencing where our energy player is milling now. Technically, you know, your opponent does get to complete their search before the Archive Trap can cost 0. So we see them just like dump here, like the way that, because if an opponent search his or her library, you can pay 0 for it. So they have to complete the search first. So they would have 0 cards in that case. I think it all works out, right? But the 26 to hit there, you know, technically the Boros Energy player should have had a extra land there because they search first in order for it to cost 0. But hey, that boom, double archive trap. So that was that big swing. That's the speed stuff that you're hoping to hit, and why players enjoy the mill strategy for things like that, where you're just like, here's a big swing, fractured sanity, double archive trap. Like hitting an archive trap is such a great feeling. All right, fetching, shocking. Are we getting a turn 1 Oscilla Pride again? He says, any responses? Are you archiving trapping me? Yep, of every game we got the turn 1 Oscilla Pride. Now, if you're watching and still watching us for Game 3, thanks for sticking with us. We had a much longer, grindier game last Thursday, so I wanted to pick a little bit of a faster-paced game for you all to be able to enjoy. Just kind of get in, get out, keep going through things. Of course, we do have lots of games still in queue for you all to be able to enjoy. And, oh, let's do some shocking in, drop into 15, and sneak that crab away and do a little bit of poking, gaining some life. Make another kitty cat. So what decks do you guys want to see? Are there specific ones you want to see featured on the channel? We try to bounce around with a lot of different stuff. There is a lot of blue players at our shop, so that does, that does happen. It is something to consider and think about. Oh, all crabs all the time. Sadly, it's only one set, so here's 3 milled off of our fetch land. Because we're going to play... Oh, man, imagine if we had both the crabs out there. Oh, looks like, okay, we are going to fetch the polluted delta and get the watery grave. So that will be 3 more milled off here. Look at that. Boom, boom, boom. Ooh, so we missed the 3. Oh, no, is that going to be the like, decider here? So every time, it's the landfall trigger, right? Every time that you are having a land enter, you get to mill 3. So... Polluted Delta enters, mill 3, we saw that, and then we fetch to get our watery grave, and that turned into, should have been 3 more. If our mill player loses because they did not get that extra 3, that's going to be huge. All right, another Kit Kat coming out. He says, oh, it took 2 damage for nothing. You're not going to play nothing? How rude. Oh, here we go. Another polluted. Okay. And we're going to sag it. So polluted delta will cause 6 to get milled, and then the other land will cause 6 more for 12 total. But still, we should have been up 3 more extra drops. But... oh my god, and imagine if we had all 3 of those crabs. What a hand this would have been. Like the speed at which you're going through the mill things. Just kidding, we don't want to shock it in. We have no need. So that gives us like information where we don't have a drown in the lock because our opponent, or if you're in the Boros energy and you look and say, okay, they're not gonna shock it in. They don't have a drown in the lock, so we're not worried about a counter spell or a removal spell here. Maybe they got a fatal push, so we can we're tracking through and going through the list. We're gonna flash in our doggo and hit with the counter spell, the spell snare. Probably sideboard card brought in, knowing that there are some 2 drops in the deck, like the doggo, like a Johnny, so like that makes sense. But oh no, the Flage. This is what we were worried about in the first game with all the mill and stuff. 3 damage here, gain 3 life. Let's do some helix, but it is also using Arena of Glory, so we get double red, double white action to gain haste for our Flage, and let's bring the pain. Another helix effect here. Let's blow up the crab. Yep, 3, gain 3. And now 6, 7, 8, 9. Oof, dropping to 5. Okay. What do we got here? Thraben Charm's good, just in case. Because, like, I don't know. Seems pretty good. But, ooh, Tasha's is nice.
That's pretty good against me.
Yeah.
20 CMC. Let's see.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 21. Exile.
There was, what, like 19 cards? And then I guess we would have had 3 more cards milled. I don't know how many cards are left.
Hey, I think you got more than 20, yeah?
Is it, do you have more than 20?
This is exile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 12 cards.
12 cards in there. Oh, so it must have been like a Visions or something like that.
Which is like the fetches and stuff.
I don't think the 3 would have made a difference. As soon as Flage hit, it was like, oh no. Visions, let's draw a card. Yeah, that's. I think the writing's on the wall. Flage came out. We kind of were in trouble there. Hey, we're not going to pay for the static. You may have this crab, but not for long because our Flage will be able to put a stop to that. Pop that, swing in for 9 more damage again. Hey, GG's. Oof, what a game, what a game. That one was good to be able to see because we got to see the speed from both sides. Very close matchup between both these decks. Could have gone either way for them. You know, but we got to see the archive trap adventures there, so I was really happy with how that went. Also, it's always great to feature, you know, newer players trying to learn the decks, learn how to the modern meta works, and that was one of the things that we saw with our modern mill player there, who doesn't normally come out and got to actually come out and play at the shop for this match here. But thanks so much for tuning in and watching, everybody. Again, we'll be broadcasting up more games every Monday and Thursday with some gameplay and the sprinkling of extra content for you on Saturdays. But thanks so much for tuning in and watching, everyone, and I'll see you all next game.